and welcome to Biz RoundUp. I am Tamiru Nimsat and we at Art Television bring you a collection of business highlights. Let's have a look at the headlines. Government decides to increase value-added tax starting from next year. More pharmaceutical manufacturers will be allowed to establish operations in Sri Lanka, Subject Minister says. The Embassy of Palestine warns about the spread of misinformation about the conflict in Gaza. News in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the government is rethinking the whole school management system along with the planned changes to the higher education system of the country. The president said this speaking at an event held in Colombo last Friday.
The world is changing, education is changing, we are changing. I have had long discussions with Mr. Susil Premajayanta, Minister of Education. We are drawing plans how education should change and change radically. So we have got to think of a new type of school management, new type of education system and a new type of school management, which we will be starting, increasing our university education. I won't deal with it here, but certainly the minister will come out with all his plans in time to come. Our A-level is tougher than the London A-level, which most of you know, but when you treat for the London A-level, much easier. So we are having a cream of a group of this in these 100 schools or so, 100 plus or minus. And that we have to develop as the future. Look into the new technologies, look into the new sciences, look into the climate change, how we are functioning. So that is one part. The second part, of course, is the country. We have also come to a turning point. We can no longer go with the old system. It's a crisis of the old order and the old order is collapsed. We can't go back to that, whether it be economics, whether it be education, whether it be politics. We have to build something anew. Look at the future. The country you all want, not the country we had. Look at a new country, a new economy, a new political system, everything. A country meant for you all, not for us.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe stressed that the thorough execution of the Anti-Corruption Act will be a major turning point in Sri Lanka's economic trajectory. The Central Bank Governor said this addressing a public seminar organized by the Centre for Banking Studies in Rajagiriya last week. The CBSL chief underscored corruption as a significant contributor to this country's economic downturn and a deterrent to much-needed foreign direct investments. Dr. Veerasinghe outlined how the extent of corruption in a country is a crucial metric for foreign investors evaluating potential ventures. Dr. Veerasinghe asserted that inculcating an anti-corruption ethos is imperative for Sri Lanka to embark on a sustainable path of economic development. He commended the IMF diagnostic report for promoting a fresh perspective on anti-corruption practices and advocating for transparent governance mechanisms. He went on to identify economic recession, inequality, poverty and a decline in societal values as byproducts of corruption. Dr. Veerasinghe also stressed the need for collective efforts and responsibility, heightened vigilance and robust public awareness and support in combating this universal issue. The Committee on Public Finance has given its approval for the orders outlined in the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act as published in a recent Gazette notice notification. This decision was reached after a comprehensive discussion held during a recent parliamentary meeting chaired by MP Dr. Harshada Silva recently. The focus of the discussion centered on 10 business entities currently operating within the Colombo Port City. Attention was also drawn to contractual concerns, with contracts being signed by these companies at various stages before, during and after the preparation of the port city. The committee observed that there was a lack of uniformity in the agreement process, lacking a solid legal basis. In light of this, the committee recommended that the Attorney General's opinion be sought within 4 weeks with the expectation that this input will provide clarity on the matter. Additionally, the committee stressed the importance of evaluating the constructions carried out by these companies in the designated area. The COPF also notified receiving information that the Port City Commission had granted permission for the operation of 2 cryptocurrency exchanges. In response, the committee advised that inquiries be made with the central bank to gather their perspective on this development. The government announced it has decided to increase the value-added tax rate up to 18% effective from the beginning of the next year in order to meet the revenue targets stipulated by the IMF. Cabinet co-spokesperson and Minister Bandula Gunawardena made the announcement at the post-cabinet meeting media briefing on Monday.
The minister said that despite a 51% increase in tax receipts in the first 9 months, the government's revenue collection did not meet the agreed revenue expectations. He also said that the government will introduce new taxes on specific goods and services which are currently not covered by the VAT from 1st of January 2024. The Cabinet co-spokesman said that the move is to meet the agreed tax revenue and primary balance targets as agreed with the IMF. The minister said that the inability to collect the stipulated revenue targets was the main reason for the delay of the second tranche. Minister Gunawardena said the government revenue increased to 1.7 trillion rupees in the first 9 months compared to last year. The minister emphasized that this amount is barely sufficient to pay public sector salaries, meet welfare payments and other recurrent expenditures. He also noted that additional taxes are likely to be introduced in the upcoming budget, which will be presented to Parliament on 13th of November.
Stay tuned, we will return after the short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. The Embassy of the State of Palestine informed Sri Lankans that it is essential to approach news and information critically and be mindful of the sources that information is derived from. The embassy urged to not follow propaganda to curb the grave and brutal human rights abuses inflicted on the civilians of Gaza. The Embassy of Palestine conveyed this message at a press conference held in Colombo recently.
The embassy stressed that in any conflict or complex situation, there can be a range of perspectives and biases, and it's important to seek accurate information. The embassy emphasized that the war against the Palestinian civilians in Gaza has reached a critical point. They said approximately 2/3 of lives lost are women and children, with further damage to infrastructure and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of civilians. The embassy requested immediate intervention from the global community in addressing the deprivation of Gazans' food, water, electricity and shelter. The embassy further condemned the most recent Israel onslaught on a hospital, which amounts to a war crime under international law and the Geneva Convention. The Palestinian embassy also noted that there is a clear indication that Israel aims to expel the Palestinian civilians in Gaza from their homes. It further said that asking civilians to move to the south and warning hospitals in Gaza shows their callous disregard for humanity and justice.
Minister of Industry and Health, Dr. Ramesh Patirana, recently unveiled the government's plan to incentivize additional pharmaceutical manufacturers to establish operations in Sri Lanka. The minister said this speaking at a press conference hosted at the Presidential Media Centre last week. The minister claimed that the government aims to enable additional manufacturers to meet a minimum of 75% of the nation's pharmaceutical demand. Minister Patirana disclosed that currently only approximately 20% of Sri Lanka's pharmaceutical needs are produced domestically. The minister further said that a national policy for industrial development has been crafted. The minister further said that it has been submitted to the Ministry of Finance for its endorsement prior to its presentation to the Cabinet. The NAPIT is intended to be incorporated into Sri Lanka's National Policy Framework 2023 to 2048. He emphasized that currently only 0.4% of the total land area is allocated for industrial purposes, and the government's aim to raise this to at least 1% swiftly. He also noted the inauguration of 3 new industrial zones in Millenia, Alpitia and Pottapitiya. The minister said there are plans to establish industrial zones in Alutapola, Dambulla, Sandamalgama, Suryawewa, Mahava and Vellavaya in the near future. The chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, Chalaka Gajabahu, said that Sri Lanka tourism is confident in reaching its initial target of 1.5 million tourist arrivals by the end of this year. The chairman said this speaking at a press conference held at the Hotel Management Training School in Colombo recently.
ඔගොල්ලෝ දන්න ඔක්කොම දැන් දවස් කීපයකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපේ tourism arrivals 1.1 million achieve වුණා. අපේ මේ අවුරුද්දේ target එක තියෙන්නේ 1.5 million. හොඳ ෂුවර් එකක් තියෙනවා අපිට මේ target එකට යන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක. මොකද නොවැම්බර් දෙසැම්බර් කියන්නේ අපේ high season month එක. ඉතින් තව ලක්ෂ 3,75,000 4 ලක්ෂයක් ගන්න එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. මොකද average එක බැලුවොත් අපිට දැන් off season කියලා එකක් නැහැ. අපි බැලුවොත් even මේ ජූන් ජුලයි විත් ඔගස්ට් අපි ලක්ෂ පන්නලා තියෙනවා. 1,25,000 1,50,000 වගේ මේ ටාගට්ස් තියෙන ඔක්කොම ඩීටේල්ස් තියෙනවා SLTDA වෙබ්සයිට් එකෙත්. ඒක බලන්න පුළුවන්. අපි හිතනවා අපිට නොවැම්බර් දෙසැම්බර් කියන මාස දෙකේදී ලක්ෂ 2.5 පන්නන්න පුළුවන් කියන මේකේ අපි ඉන්නේ. ඒක කිසිම මේකක් නැහැ.
Stay tuned. We will return after the short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Speaking at the press conference, the chairman of the Sri Lanka Institute of Tourism and Hotel Management, Sriranta Piris, said that the government has been able to train a workforce of nearly 1,500 for the forthcoming winter season through a short-term hospitality training pilot program launched recently.
Supporting our President's vision and as directed by our Honourable Minister to introduce short-term hospitality training programs. It was a long process to identify 100 youth from each district. That's 25 districts, 2,500 students. But this is the pilot run. And as we speak now, there are almost 1,500 students studying, 1,496. As we talk, in 37 training centers island-wide with 54 trainers. Now, we will be able to increase the numbers as we start the Jaffna training programs coming this Saturday. So as a result of the short programs, we are able to have a workforce of over 1,500 in hospitality for the forthcoming winter season. These short-term programs will lay a fantastic foundation for the students to go into hospitality and do an internship for 12 months. Only after the 12 months that they will be eligible for the SLIDM certificate, because our brand, we value our brand and we want people to demonstrate the level of competencies that links to the SLIDM branding. Because we do not want to give a certificate after a short training program for them to take the certificate and get on board an aircraft.
The governor of the Eastern Province, Senthil Tondaman, assured that the people who migrated back to the Mailattamadu area of the Eastern Province will be allocated plots of land according to the legal procedure. He also said that the remaining land will be allocated as pasture for cattle grazing to support dairy farming in the area. The governor said this speaking at the Presidential Media Centre on the 27th of October.
The government doesn't act in favour to anyone. It's the duty of the government to implement the law as it is. As we are very aware that it belongs to the area called in Mailattamadu, where there have been people who have been migrated during the war, the singular families to the other districts. And now after the war they have come back. His Excellency President has clearly stated that people who belong to that area should be given land legally, because these are all government lands, not private lands. And people who have come excess from districts like Polonair and Ampara should be considered to be given land in their own district like Polonair and Ampara, so that the rest of the land can be utilized for pasture, for cattle grazing. This land's powers is vested is the Mahavali Ministry. Mahavali Ministry only has the powers to take legal action and take care. I, as a governor of the province, can make sure there's the peace of breach is not being disturbed. The Grama Seva as well as the divisional secretary has the idea of the list, because they have the list of people who were residents before 1980s. So they will be given a mechanism how these lands will be allocated. You know, if they were having 1 acre during the time of 1980s, they will have to be given 1 acre. No, they can't have 5 acres now. No. So we'll have to do a proper survey plan and do that accordingly. In the meantime, people who have come additionally to that will be resettled back in their own districts.
The Minister of Industry and Health said that the packaging and printing industries are closely related to the increase in export revenue of the country. The Minister said this speaking at the Lanka Pack and Lanka Print exhibition held at the BMICH in Colombo for 3 consecutive days. Lanka Pack 2023 and Sri Lanka Print exhibition was held as a joint exhibition under the chairmanship of Minister Ramesh Pathirana last week.
More than 1,000 products and brands were presented in the joint exhibition, consisting of 150 booths and exhibitors representing China, India and Taiwan. Apart from international exhibitors, some of Sri Lankan's leading packaging and printing brands were presented at this exhibition. A special packaging workshop was also conducted for Sri Lankan and foreign packers during the 3 days of the exhibition. Lanka Pack 2023 has exhibitors representing the sectors of paper, plastic, processing, packaging products and promotions. The Sri Lanka Print 2023 exhibition is being held for the 8th time, and the purpose of exhibition is to introduce the latest techniques and trends to the local printing industry. 44 local printing companies and 6 leading printing companies of India also participated in this exhibition.
With that, we wind up for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. See you tomorrow with State of Business at 7:45 p.m. Take care and good night.